Kevin Williams for the Shore Sports Network in one of everyone's favorite places, the Beer Garden here at First Energy Park, home of the Lakewood BlueClaws. And I'm with Greg Giombarrese, best known to BlueClaws fans as the play-by-play voice of the team, but so much more. And in his 10th anniversary with an asterisk, right?
Yeah, 10 full seasons, and I interned 1 year, so 11, I guess, but this is my 10th year full-time and traveling and everything, so.
They say time flies when you're having a good time. Is that the case?
It really is. It really is. It's a blast. I love coming here every day.
Well, of course, people do know you as the voice of the Lakewood BlueClaws on Beach Radio 1160 and 1310. And also here, if you're at the ballpark, you hear Greg when you're walking around and stuff like that, where the radio broadcast is carried. But that is really only a small part of what is a very complex position as the Director of Communications.
Yeah, so I mean, we do a lot of different things. It's a lot of fun, but our website, social media, a lot of our email marketing and advertising, writing, press releases, and then obviously the main media contact for the team to help get the word out with the media.
And, of course, you do all 140 games. And I always wondered, like, at what point in your day, because during season on a game day, and we'll assume it's a 7 o'clock at night game, you're here in the morning. So at what time do you shut everything else down and just focus on trying to broadcast the game that night?
Yeah, usually by around 4:30, 5 o'clock, we have all the lineups for both teams all taken care of, and then I'll just kind of go upstairs and get ready. But, yeah, before that, there's a lot of other stuff that has to be done, but that's okay.
And you have a little help at times up in the broadcast booth, right? Yeah. Either, of course, Tony or guests who are sponsors who are affiliated with you in some way will sit in with you on occasion. Yeah,
for a few years when I started, we had some great assistants that have gone on to higher levels of broadcasting and media work, so that's been really cool to see. And then Tony Graham, formerly of the Asbury Park Press, has been with us the last, I think this is his 5th year now. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then, yeah, we rotate. We bring in sponsor of the game. They always come on. Obviously, some are better than others. I'm not going to name names, but some are better than others. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like to get to share the booth and share the experience up there.
Now, you are a New Jersey native, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Bergen County in Westwood, up north.
Fordham University grad. Now, I'm going to guess, as a young lad, you were not a Phillies fan.
No, I actually grew up a Yankee fan up there. My dad was a Yankee fan and kind of inherited it from him, and then went to Fordham in the Bronx, and then ended up down here eventually.
All right, so of course we know the BlueClaws are the single-A affiliate of the Philadelphia Phillies, obviously closely associated with the ballpark. So I got to ask you, when the Phillies and Yankees played in the World Series, who were you rooting for?
Oh, I might take the fifth. I might take the fifth on that one. No, I might have rooted for the Yankees in that one. That was my first year, though, to be fair. But yeah, that was fun. I actually ended up at 2 games in there. My dad got tickets. We went to Game 1 in New York, and then through the BlueClaws we had tickets for Game 3 down in Philly. Game 1, I saw Cliff Lee pitched, and that was one of the better games I've ever seen pitched. The Yankees didn't touch him. They hit like 2 balls hard, and one of them he made a behind-the-back stop on a comeback, and Chase Utley had 2 balls in the bleachers.
So, I don't think fans necessarily know, or a lot of people don't know, how integrally involved you are with the team. And obviously, the one thing I've always said about listening to you, at times I can't tell if it's a good season or a bad season for the BlueClaws. I think you do come to work every day with the enthusiasm of, I love seeing baseball. I'll never know what I'll see tonight. Yeah. But you have been part of 2 championships here, back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. And clearly that has to be among your highlights as your affiliation with the BlueClaws.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories that we've had here was in 2010. We clinched the title here. And in 2009, we clinched down in Greenville, which is still really cool. But to clinch it here in front of the home fans and with our staff and friends in the office and the fans and the game day staff and everything, that was really cool. They had the BlueClaws' first title in 2006. They won here, and I wasn't here for that. I was still in college. But to see it all happen here, that was one of the more fun memories that I've ever had here.
And that means you have 2 championship rings.
It does. And after the second one, we were celebrating, and Mark Parent was the manager, and he was talking with Jeff Brown. And I went up to Jeff, and Jeff was the GM at the time, and I said, hey, I'm 2 years, 2 rings. I think I deserve a raise. And he said, nice try.
Well, I would remind you that I have 3 championship rings because we were always wise enough to tell them, well, we are your broadcast partner, so we should get them, and I have them displayed in my office. And I'm wondering if this team, which as we sit here in late July has clinched the playoff spot, is already in the postseason, and is had a very, very good season. If this team might give me a fourth ring and you a third.
It's not impossible. Obviously, one of only 4 teams that will be in the playoffs, so the pitching was really great in the first half, and it's been very good here in the second half. They're hitting the ball a lot better. But, I mean, you never know when you get in. It's 2 out of 3 the first round, 3 out of 5 in the second round. So I think, though, no matter what happens, I think the way the BlueClaws have been pitching, I think you just take your good pitching staff and take a shot in the playoffs, and you never know. And it'll, if we get into the finals, it'll end here, so that'll be pretty cool, too.
That would be very cool, and that, of course, starts right after Labor Day. So over the 11 years, counting your internship year, you've obviously, had dealings with a lot of players here, a decent share who have gone on to play and are playing in the major leagues, but some not. But there must have been ones that you kind of felt like a special relationship or made a lasting impression on you.
Yeah, Jim Murphy was always a lot of fun, and he was here for 2 years. He was here in 2009 and then went to Clearwater, which is the level above us, and then came back in 2011. And we were all surprised that he came back, and like, well, he'll only be here for a few weeks, and then, well, maybe a month and a half, and then sure enough, it was September. But he was great, always had a smile on his face, was always willing to really help you out, needed an interview. So I love working with Jim. Anthony Ghost was on the first team that I was here for. Really funny young man, and he was a center fielder, stole 70-some-odd bases with the BlueClaws that year. Another guy on that first team was a kid named Jason Knapp, and he was from New Jersey, somewhere off of 78 near the PA border. And he got traded at the deadline in 2009. He was in the Cliff Lee deal. So that was one of my favorite stories to tell. So we were in Greenville, South Carolina, and it was the last day of the series, so we played at night, and we had to check out of the hotel at 11. So when that happens, usually, you kind of walk around, you find a restaurant near the hotel. Some guys will go to the mall. So the deal broke around noon, and Jason was with his roommate, and they were in the mall over there in Greenville. So the deal broke, and we saw that his name was in it, and then we left the hotel to go to the field. We picked up Knapp and the other pitcher that he was with at the mall. So we pick him up, and we have the ESPN on the bus, and he comes on, everybody oohs and ahs, and because he knew, at that point he knew he got traded. Everybody knew. And Jason Stark is on ESPN, and Knapp sits down on the bus, and Stark says the biggest reason why the Indians made this deal, trading Cliff Lee to the Phillies, was because of Lakewood BlueClaws Class A pitcher Jason Knapp. And everybody looked at him and goes, "Oh, no pressure." So that was kind of a little crazy the first year, and then he got to the field, and they wouldn't even let him outside. Like, couldn't go play catch, couldn't stretch, couldn't do anything. Just sat in the clubhouse for a couple hours, and then the game was over, and he was long gone off to the Indians.
Speaking of crazy, you have had some crazy times here, and among those centers around when a Phillies player, especially an established player, makes a rehab appearance. It seems like it's been a little while, but you had a pretty good stretch of those guys coming, and the Ryan Howards of the world, and guys like, Cole Hamels, of course, both they played here and have their numbers reset. But what's that like for you as the communications guy, not just the radio guy?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The biggest one was when Howard came back in 2010 and we retired his number, because we were going to have him come back not to rehab, but just on an off day, and we were going to retire his number. This is in 2010. And then the Phillies had gotten a game, I want to say snowed out in Colorado, and they had to make the game up on that off day. So we had to cancel the ceremony. We were going to do it the next year. So sure enough, he ends up getting hurt, and he's going to rehab somewhere. So it worked out. It was a Friday night. He rehabbed here. We retired his number at like 6:52, and then at 7:02 he takes the field, which was a little weird. But number 29 still retired out there behind us. So, but yeah, that night we probably had, I don't know, 20, 25 media guys from Philly and all the TV stations and everything. So that's a lot of fun. I mean, everybody that has come in to rehab has been really hospitable and really great with the media. So we haven't really had a problem.
There's also been stories that sometimes those players, when they come here, will do something for the players on the team. I don't know, if buy them lunch or something like that. What are some of those traditions?
Yeah, usually they just cater the post-game meal. So from a nice place around here, or usually sometimes they get a recommendation from the clubhouse manager or they just find a restaurant and they'll pick up the post-game spread for the whole team. It'll be much fancier than they would normally get.
Now, often on those rehab appearances, there's not much notice. However, You've had two players I can think of off the top of my head who came here that everyone knew was coming here, and there was a lot of hype around them. I was here for Bryce Harper when he was, played here in Single A. That was crazy. And, of course, Tim Tebow most recently. What's that like for you? What are those players like to deal with, and how challenging is it?
Harper, I don't even remember doing anything. I think he talked the first day. And there were some people here from New York because, remember, they play down in Maryland, and a lot of national media guys are based in New York. So this was the only chance that they were going to get to talk to him. So I think we had a few guys here. He did something the first day, and that was it. Tebow, the same thing. So, but that was a little different. We had that was kind of like Harper on steroids kind of thing. That was crazy. So we had must have been 30, and he was going to talk the first day. And it poured. I mean, it was awful. Poured the whole day, from about 11 o'clock the night before until 9 o'clock. So we called the game early and then rescheduled all the media stuff for the next day. And we had, again, 20 people came back or whatever. It was Mother's Day. And he did it right in front of the visiting dugout. And he was awesome. Did his 10 minutes, but that was their policy, and that's how he does it in every spot, which makes sense. I mean, he would have to do an hour a day if there was no limit. So, yeah, it worked out well. He was awesome. Everybody seemed happy with the answers. But, yeah, that was cool because you get tons of requests from all over the place. And you get a lot of people out to the field that wouldn't come out otherwise.
It's amazing how many people were here with Tebow jerseys.
Oh, not only Tebow jerseys, but from, like, 7 different teams. like all the NFL teams that he played for. Obviously, Florida, the Fireflies, the Mets. The Fireflies are the Mets affiliate. And then the Mets themselves and others. So, yeah, it was a little weird. Well, that was cool. It was cool. It definitely was an added layer of buzz in the ballpark that night. And you usually get that on those big rehab nights. The ones that I could think of off the top of my head were Tebow last year, Howard a couple times. He's been back a few times. We retired his number. And then the other one was when we had Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay rehabbed here in 2013, and we had about 3-4 days notice to promote that one. And that was one of the bigger crowds we've ever had. And he was awesome. He did his thing, and then again 15, 20 media guys, and he talked in the clubhouse after the game. But that one was kind of crazy because you had a guy that is a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer that came out and wore a BlueClaws uniform.
You've also had celebrities come here as fans. We're at the Jersey Shore, and I'm sure most of them like to keep a very low profile in those nights. Does that involve you in any way?
No, no. I stay away. I stay away from those.
Springsteen was here, right?
Yeah, that was before me though. He was here. I think his one of his kids had one of his kids' friends had their birthday party here. So I don't know if he was like a chaperone or if he just came out for the game. But yeah, that was back in probably 02 or 03.
The one thing you really haven't had over the years is quite a few local players from the Shore area who have played for Lakewood. There's been a few that have come in as visitors. The best known we would think of would be Mark Leiter Jr., but a pitcher only pitches once every 5 days, and you always wonder, like, what if a Todd Frazier as a minor leaguer played here? I mean, I'm sure that would be kind of a really neat thing, and maybe at some point it will happen.
Never know. One of the most trafficked Facebook posts in BlueClaws history was when we congratulated on the BlueClaws page Tom's River native Todd Frazier for winning the home run derby, 2014, 14-15, right, when he was in Cincinnati. So, yeah, that would be really cool. We had Mark was here for a couple of starts at the end of 2013 and then about half of 2014. So that was definitely really cool. But you're right. I mean, he only pitched, probably 15 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the one thing I have to ask you about is the bus rides. Wherever the team goes, Greg Giombarrese goes. Very often after a late night game or, not a lot of turnaround time. Have they gotten any better for you over the decade or so, or is it's just something that you have to deal with because they can't be enjoyable?
I can't say that they're any better, but I guess I'm more used to them now. I mean, some are, don't get me wrong, some are long. I would rather have a day game and a 12-hour bus ride than no day game and like a 4 or 5 hour bus ride personally. As long as you just, well, maybe not 4 or 5, but like 8. The worst ones are when you leave at like 8 in the morning and sit on the bus all day and waste a day off. But if we play a day game, leave at night and go through the night, I don't mind them. But yeah, they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not fun, but I'm used to them.
Comes with the territory. Okay, a couple things about Greg Giombarrese. I know you're a horse racing enthusiast.
Yeah.
So on an off day, a rare one, will you find yourself away to the racetrack?
I can. We got rained out the other day on a Sunday. I went over to. I did catch a few at Monmouth, but yeah, the schedule doesn't really isn't too friendly. But I try to go in the fall when I can. And I've gone down to Florida in the spring before the season starts the last few years, so I do my best.
You've also entered a couple of handicapping contests, right?
Yes, and performed very poorly. Very poorly.
All right, another thing I know about you, and it's ironic because we've been here. You have a brand new miniature golf course here at the home of the BlueClaws, specifically designed more for youngsters, but
yeah.
You love playing miniature
Right.
golf. So how many times have you gotten out on this course?
A good amount, no question. But I have to say, unfortunately, I don't hold the course record. I'm going to give our buddy a plug. His name is Ryan Shaughnessy. He's one of our group's reps. He has a 15, which to this point is the course record. They did a great job with that golf course out there, by the way, if you've never come out and if you've never played it.
Pretty awesome. So what's your best score?
17.
So you have something to shoot for.
No question. No question. I'll get there.
All right, also TV shows. I'm going to throw this one at you. I noticed from your on the website for
Yeah.
BlueClaws, Greg Giombarrese was a big fan of the show Frasier, which recently announced that it appears it's coming back.
Yeah, are they actually going to bring it back? I saw there were some rumors. I kind of hope they do. I'm a little skeptical of how funny it'll be. The guy who played Martin passed away, John Mahoney. Yeah, but and Eddie passed away too, the dog. But I hope they give it a shot. It was a really tremendous show.
All right, over the 10 seasons that you have been the voice of the BlueClaws, how many games have you missed?
Not a lot. I missed 7 for one wedding, 7 for another, where they had the wedding on during a BlueClaws trip, and then 1 when my brother graduated college, and then another when my brother graduated law school, but that was rained out. So I think just 15, and none since 2013.
So you're on a pretty good streak. Not exactly Cal Ripken-esque, but not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I'm getting there. But yeah, I've only missed a couple. And if those weddings happened when we were home, it would have been less than that. But I guess it was good that they happened on the road. We sent someone out. One of them, we sent the assistant out, Adam Giordino, who now does games for the Scranton Rail Riders. They went 0-7 on the trip, and they wouldn't let him in the clubhouse for a few days. We did the games.
So I know, it's a long season, it's a lot of days, and I'm sure like everyone associated with the team when it's over, everyone likes to chill a little bit, but there really are worse things than being at a ballpark on a beautiful summer day, right?
Yeah, especially when you get a nice breeze like we got at this exact moment. Yeah, no, it's great. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity.
We at Town Square Media have had the pleasure to work with Greg for these 10 years. There's absolutely nobody better in the business, and I hope it's at least another 10 for him and for me as well, for sure. We thank you for watching. Greg Giombarrese, the play-by-play voice, the director of communications for the Lakewood BlueClaws. Catch him on Beach Radio 1160 and 1310 AM right through Labor Day, and, of course, longer than that because the BlueClaws are going to shoot for their 4th South Atlantic League championship. I'm Kevin Williams for ShoreSportsNetwork.com.